for Multan Sultans. Then they have officially qualified in the top 4, and what a performance. Riley Russo led the way for them and really set it up at the top. What a stunning performance. Kieron Pollard, let's not forget his contribution today. And jubilations all round. Mohammad Rizwan, the happy captain, and why not? Well, this is just a recap of the match summary. 242 for 6 Peshawar Zalmi made once again, but they were unable to defend. Babar Azam amongst the runs, 73 in 39 balls. Saim Ayub also chipping in. And in response, it was the Riley Russo show, 121 in just 51 balls. And he had support from Kieron Pollard. Anwar Ali, great cameo from him as well, 24 not out in just 8 balls. In the end, Multan Sultans winning by 4 wickets. Welcome to Pitchside. It's a pleasure to bring you all the coverage, and a huge congratulations to Multan Sultans because they've now secured their spot in the top 4. That's the big news of the day, courtesy a wonderful knock by Riley Russo. Now, I've been joined by a very special guest in the studio today, Andy Flower, who's been an integral part of the Multan Sultans setup for a while, alongside Nick Knight, who always joins us in the night. he's making the sad face. I hope you're not that sad to be here.
I'm very happy. I'm happy for this man as well, because I've never seen him have such a smile on his face for about the last 5 minutes. You're smiling again.
Everyone talks about me never smiling.
There you go.
Andy, huge congratulations. Magnificent win for Multan Sultans. Just your thoughts then initially first on the qualification. I mean, it was an important game.
It was an important game, and qualifying is the first step towards the ultimate goal, isn't it? And it's great that we've qualified. We've got another game tomorrow, and we want to take a step further and get into that top 2, or give us the best chance to get into that top 2 anyway.
Let's talk about Riley Russo then. I mean, what did he eat tonight?
I don't see much of him around the hotel. He sort of hibernates in his room a lot of the time. But that was really special, wasn't it? It was an amazing innings, especially the way he started, 45 or 15 balls, and he didn't put a foot wrong. You know, he hit everything in the middle of the bat. His balance was amazing. His choice of shot and the decision making was amazing. So it's a real privilege to watch these guys play.
Andy, what do you say to a team, a batting unit, when you're going to go and chase 240? I mean, how do you do you have an involvement in it? How does that dynamic work when you go out there?
Well, I think in those the sort of half times, if you like, the atmosphere in the dressing room is really important. So when you come off after having conceded 240, there could be a tendency to feel quite negative about the game, and you just can't afford to. So David Miller, for instance, walked into the dressing room and started talking really positively, loudly enough for everyone in the dressing room to hear, about the fact that we can chase this down. It was chased down really, 240 was chased down really recently. We just conceded it, and we had the power in our lineup to do so. So that sort of intervention by a guy like David Miller, who's just been left out and could be feeling really disappointed about stuff, makes a difference. So the feel in the dressing room and switching quickly to positive thinking is really important.
Do you tick off targets? I mean, do the batters at something, you know, we need this off 10, we need this off 5, we need this off the power play, or is it just see ball, hit ball?
I quite like ticking off targets, but some teams don't. Today there was just too much happening. So
I see you with your book ticking off lots of things. I wonder sometimes what's written in there.
Look, we all knew that we needed sort of 70 plus in the power play, and our 2 openers went out with that goal in mind, and it didn't happen. But Riley got in early, and he was joined by Pollard, who just oozes calm and experience and know-how, doesn't he? And he soaked up a little bit of pressure initially while Riley was going crazy, and then he added the impetus and power when he could. He's a really smart cricketer. Great to have him in our side.
What about Rizwan then? I mean, he's been leading the side for a while. What's he like as a leader? Somebody who's very chirpy and bubbly. How does he rally his troops together?
I really respect Rizwan a lot. He's a strong man. He's courageous. He has a strong faith. I think that sort of oozes out of him, doesn't it? And I think the fact that he oozes integrity, it makes him a leader that people really want to follow. He's confident, he believes in himself, and he believes in his team, and he certainly shows the team that belief. And I think those are great qualities in a leader, and he's got them all.
You spoke about Kieron Pollard and his contributions. What a stunning catch he took in the deep. I mean, he actually took 2 really good catches. He seems to be the perfect fielder just near the boundary line.
Yeah, I mean, that was an incredible catch. If there's a better catch than that in this tournament, I'd be surprised. You know, and just the power of the guy when he took it and balanced on his left leg as he was throwing it up in the air before he could get back into the outfield was incredible. He works. This is the first time I've worked with him in a team, and I've been surprised by how hard he works in the gym with his personal trainer, who he brings out. And he's an incredible professional sports person.
Just in terms of Multan Sultans, then, you know, it's been quite a recovery, Nick, the way you've seen them progress. And I mean, what were you impressed with in particular in today's game with Multan Sultans? What was impressive?
I think Andy's touched on it a little bit because, I mean, having played the game, you know what a dressing room is like when your bowlers have just been thrashed around for 240 and you're starting, which is why I asked Andy the question, because how do you lift a side? How do you, I know as an opening batsman, your job is to go out there and the psychology of the game has to be thrust back your way, which is damn difficult to do. And I think as much as anything, what we saw, I mean, Riley and Kyra and all the guys, and actually Anwar Ali and the way the little gems of an innings at the end which took the pressure off Riley, I think as much as anything, it was the way they wrestled back the initiative, having looked like the game was done and dusted. Now, I guess that's helped a little bit by the fact that Jason Roy chased down and Quetta chased down too. So perhaps there's a bit more self-belief than there was, say, a few days ago. But I think the psychology of turning that around, Andy, was pretty special.
Yeah, and the credit has to go to the boys out there in the field. We talked about a couple of the, David Miller's intervention in the dressing room, but the body language shown by Riley Rousseau, let alone the skill and power by Pollard. I know it wasn't Tim David's day, but then the follow-up from Kushdil, Anwar Ali, and Osama Mir, who came in and played a couple of shots that meant that we got home almost comfortably in the end. That sort of self-belief is, you know how important self-belief is in a professional sports person, and I think our guys showed that today.
Well, the self-belief is showing now, because if you can chase down over 240 runs, this is going to augur really well for you going ahead into the tournament. We're reaching the business end. Thank you so much, Andy. I'm going to let you go because you have a game tomorrow, so I'm sure you can get back to the boys and celebrate with them. But yeah, Multan Sultans has been absolutely spectacular today. It's been a visual treat for all the fans in Pindi. Riley Rousseau is our master blaster for today.
Well, it's quite extraordinary to think that you can come straight in and get into your work as quickly as he did. Yeah, sure, the surface will help and it's coming on and sliding on nicely, but the self-belief of these players to come in and play in the manner that they do, chasing 240, is quite extraordinary. I mean, the landscape of the game is changing quite rapidly, certainly on a surface like this, and it was just pure entertainment, really. I don't think they could have bowled anywhere to him. We've seen that celebration before. We'll see it again. The very best of Riley Rousseau.
The very best of Riley Rousseau indeed. I mean, who would have thought at halftime that this is something that Multan Sultans will get? We obviously saw Jason Roy do it, but Riley Rousseau was special tonight. I've now been joined by Simon Dooley. Dooley, not many people would have thought at halftime that this is going to be chased down. We've seen that happen, but for it to happen again and for everybody in Pindi to see a Riley Rousseau special, This was a special innings.
It was very special. I think Rizwan summed it up at the post-match with Buzzer when he said that they always believed, because of the state of these pitches that we're playing on here in Pindi, it's a bowler's nightmare, I get it. But he felt that they were always going to be in the game, even though they lost those two early with him and Shan Masood. Riley Rousseau, right from that first ball, just the way he found the middle of the bat and just continued to go. And when you're chasing these sorts of totals, you have to go. You can't, there's no time to sort of get yourself in too much. The partnership with Pollard was brilliant. And, you know, there's a couple of special moments as well. Anwar Ali, who was under the pump with the ball, most expensive bowling figures for a seamer in the history of the tournament, and then goes out and does that. Usama Mir, who's been up and down the order a little bit, you know, and Rizwan talked about that too. So I don't know, I just continue to sort of lose words, I suppose, for how good these games have been here.
You know what, as well, I mean, when as old pros and played the game, you watch it. Do you know what stuns me a little bit, Dooley, is there's no slogging. It's not ugly to watch. It's pleasing to watch. Siam Ayub comes in and plays lovely shots. Bubba, we know, can do the same. Riley Rousseau just plays lovely shots. And yet they're still going at 12 runs per over. I mean,
he's playing lovely shots, and he's also creating some records. Because we're talking about records, it's time for a stat attack. All right, he's right up there in terms of centuries. When you talk about Riley Rousseau, he's created records. He's scored the fastest 100 in the HPL PSL, and it's not the first time. It's happened the second time as well. He's done it before as well, and it's been some record on Riley Rousseau's behalf. Well, it's been a day that's belonged to Riley Rousseau. I'm sure Multan Sultans is celebrating. Lots to look forward to, but we'll take a short break now. Stunning innings then by Riley Rousseau. It was the fastest 100 of the HPL PSL, and he won it in the end for Multan Sultans. He's also our player of the match.
He bettered his own record, and right from ball number one, he just found the middle of that wonderful blade, pull shots, drives, extra cover, everything you see here. He loves that little pickup shot on the leg side, and he was just belligerent throughout this innings, I thought. Found the gaps, he manoeuvred the bowlers, he worked the bowlers around. Absolutely superb.
Well, it was raining sixes today. We saw that by Riley Rousseau, but Usama Mir decided to get involved in the party too. He features in our switched on moments of the day.
Well, the power and audacity. Have a look at that shot. That is not a straightforward shot to play. Whether you've just come in and the game is on, he can't believe it. He cannot believe it, Mohammed Rizwan, and not, I think many watching could either. Extraordinary shot.
All right, two fantastic innings. Riley Rousseau, Usama Mir also having a bit of fun, but we're having a lot of fun here, but we'll join you shortly after this break. Well, Peshawar Zalmi is probably going to look back and think that they've conceded over 240 runs on both the occasions, but they did get there. And Abbas Afridi was the pick of the bowlers for Multan Sultans. Let's have a look at the Zalmi wickets.
Yeah, first up, Siam Ayub just got one that he didn't quite get out of the middle of the bat, out to deep mid-wicket. Off the bowling of Usama Mir. This was a good short ball, and it was the undoing of Babar Azam, and he'd made a good score. Rodman Powell, he thought that was a no ball, Nick Knight, but it just wasn't quite, and another good catch out on the boundary.
No, it was well judged in the end. Never easy deep on the boundary edge, and that was a much more simple catch. Catching a lot better, in truth, tonight under the night sky. There have been some difficult ones, and Hasabullah there not quite getting the middle of the bat, but the first of a brilliant double act from Kyron Pollard made that one look pretty simple as well. And this is a collector's item. Take a look at this. the great man, Kieran Pollard, making one of the more difficult... Oh, I'm not so sure about the celebration.
Lisanullah went wicketless today. It wasn't his day in that regard, but one thing you can expect from him is a lot of pace. He features in our fastest delivery of the day.
Yeah, none for 35 for Lisanullah today. He's finding wickets a little bit harder to come by as far as the tournament is concerned, but he's still bowling absolute rockets.
Well, no surprises for who features in our safe hands today. Kieran Pollard taking those absolute stunners in the deep. Let's have a look.
Well, roll back the years, Kieran Pollard, I say. I mean, you're not going to see too many better catches than this. I can't tell you how old he is these days. I don't want to tell you how old he is, but that probably tells its own story. What about that? The big man. He's at long off for a reason, because he's very good at taking catches high up. I don't think he's taken one quite as good as that.
He's 20 years younger than his number on his back.
There you go.
I can tell you that.
Right.
20 years younger than the number on his back. You should be able to work that out yourself if you're sitting at home now.
Tuli, Zalmi might just still qualify considering the equation, but they've got plenty of things to sort out.
Yeah, not their batting. Their batting has been really good. I was impressed with the batting quality today. It's just a worry about their bowling. Wahab was superb. I mean, those two boundaries late in the piece, one of them probably shouldn't have been a boundary, but it's just that worry about their bowling. They're the one side in the tournament that I don't think have a genuine speedster. That's one of their issues. No one to sort of upset the odd batter, and they've just been a little bit all over the place. At times they've been a little bit critical, both teams tonight actually, of their field placement to some of the bowling as well. So they've just got a few things to work out. So there's some thought to go into it from Darren Sammy, and they'll look back at tonight. They'll wonder what went wrong. Where did they bowl? You know, could they have bowled one side of the wicket a little bit more? Could they have made Riley Rousseau hit offside a little bit more? I think that's one of the keys tonight. But yeah, work to do for them, but there's still a chance. There's still a chance.
There's still a chance. But what about Multan Sultans? I know they'll be happy with their performance, but you got to look at, you know, room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. What do you reckon is an area for Multan Sultans that they can work on? Because now we're reaching the business end of the tournament.
The problem is a little bit what Dooley was saying. You know, Zalmi have played a couple of games here, Multan have played a couple of games here. You question the bowling, but that's not so much necessarily because of the bowling. It's because of the surface they're playing on. I mean, if I'm Andy Flower, who sat there, he spoke brilliantly to us, I'd be going back to there. He's got that little notebook. I'd be thinking, how are we going to stop a side on here getting 200? If you get 200, that's a damn good effort. 240, you're starting to question it a little bit. So it's a problem that all the sides have got. Tim David not getting any runs tonight and still getting 240, big tick, because he's going to get some big runs at some point.
Well, the crowd got to witness over 500 runs today. That's what they came for. So we'll be hearing from them just after this break. Well, the fans had a ball out there with all the entertainment that Riley Rousseau provided. Lots of boundaries, lots of sixes. It's time to hear their thoughts in the ringside view.
बहुत मज़ा आया जी। हम मुल्तान को सपोर्ट करने आए थे, हमें बहुत मज़ा आया। आज मुल्तान ने बहुत अच्छा खेला।
सबसे पहले तो हम पिंडी की जो है अवाम जो है उसको हम सलाम पेश करते हैं। पूरा स्टेडियम उन्होंने भरा हुआ था।
मुल्तान को भी सपोर्ट कर रहे थे और मुल्तान की जीत ही देखने आए थे। बहुत मज़ा आया और ख़ास तौर पे जो पुलार्ड के कैचेस थे दे वर फैबुलस, दे वर फैंटास्टिक, वो देख के बहुत मज़ा आया।
जी, हम तो पेशावर ज़ल्मी को सपोर्ट करने आए थे, लेकिन मुल्तान ने अच्छा खेला। रिजवान अच्छा कैप्टन है और उसने अच्छा लीड किया टीम को। हार गए, फिर बैकअप करेंगे इंशाल्लाह, कमबैक करेंगे। और सेम अयूब राइजिंग टैलेंट है, उसको देखेंगे आइंदा इंशाल्लाह सीरीज़ में।
Plenty of masala at display in this match as well. We're talking about a contest between two very good sides, but what we always enjoy is a bit of a celebration. Let's have a look at the masalaydar moments of the day. Well, it's not been the best year for Riley Rousseau, especially with his gig with Multan Sultans, but this pretty much tells you a story. Not really sure what he's doing there, but he seemed to have loved his century. Everyone's really enjoying that wriggle that he did in the end here in the studio. And why not? Because he features in that record list. We're talking about the fastest century in the HBL PSL. And he's just broken his own record basically in 2020. Riley Russo and then Riley Russo versus Peshawar Zalmi in 2023. And he seems to be doing it again and again. He's been an integral part of Multan Sultans. Right then, so great news for Riley Russo. He's back in form for them. Multan Sultans getting their things together. What about that opening pair, Dooley? I mean, what are your thoughts on Shan and Rizwan?
Well, as long as they're not chewing up deliveries, I think that's the key. And what I liked tonight was that Rizwan took risks. Again, he had a big 6 over mid-wicket and then got out trying to do the same thing. I've got no issue with that. If they're playing shots like that, when you're chasing 240, you've got to take risks inside the power play. And so I have no problem with that. They've struggled with that combination being up to par if they bat for more than 5, 6, 7 overs. That's their problem. If they do that, if they bat outside the power play, they've got to make sure they're at 170, 180 strike rate, chasing big totals or even setting totals. So that would be my worry. And it's probably about one of the few worries that they've got at the moment because they've got such great power to follow. You don't want to leave that sitting in the dugout for too long, I don't think.
Nairi, I think Babar Azam's been listening to Dooley as well because he played spectacularly today.
Do you really think that?
Well, he should. He should.
Well, he's definitely been listening to it. But what a fabulous knock, though. I mean, just it was great for Peshawar Zalmi. Of course, it didn't end up on the winning end, but just for personally, we're talking about his strike rate always, how he needs to up the strike rate, and that's what we got to see from him.
Absolutely. I mean, Dooley's point though was more towards I think the end of the innings. I mean, he played pretty much like this the other day as well. I mean, these surfaces really suit him. The ball slides on. He's a touch player. I keep using that as a phrase. So it kind of suits his strengths. And yeah, I think he is adding a bit more dominance, a bit more authority to his game. And I think that's Dooley's point. But yeah, he's a wonderful player to watch. And along with Saeem Ayub, I mean, it's a wonderful combination. I think the left hand, right hand works for both of them. I guess the challenge for these players, and you mentioned Shan and you mentioned Mohammad Rizwan, when you go on a surface that's perhaps not sliding on so much, then there's a slightly different challenge for a batter who's not, you know, maybe finding it so easy to use the pace when there's not pace there and they're bowling it into the surface. But these guys are learning very quickly. I mean, they're great to watch, these guys. Fantastic.
This is the one thing, and when I talk about Babar, I talk about his intent. And to me, he's a world-class player, right? And I've long said, I mean, I said a year ago, forget about the top 4. He's the top 1. He was the best player in the world. So this is the sort of tournament he should be dominating, in my opinion. And it's just an opinion. It's all it is. Everyone's got one. But he should be dominating these bowling attacks, not striking at 120, 130. I love today. I love the intent he showed today. And that's all my point is. I love watching him play. He, as Naidi said, he's a touch player. And these surfaces suit him down to the ground. But he should be dominating. He should be saying, boys, I'm the Pakistan captain. You get me at your peril because I will dominate you. I've had all the shots in the week. He plays a short ball. He plays the cover drive as well as anyone in the world. So I will go out and I will dominate. I am not going to be able to strike. I don't want him striking at 125, 130.
You know what I saw today as well? I mean, I did a little piece on him when he doesn't score behind square. I'm doing it left-handed because that's all I know. But he started to do that as well. Exactly. You know, so there is a guy, he knows his game inside out, but he knows he's got to keep developing like everybody. Top players do that. They challenge themselves to say, how can I get... He knows the wagon wheel. He knows where he doesn't score.
I just don't want him to be worried about getting out.
Game.
Yeah, I don't want him to be worried about getting out. And that's sometimes what I feel. Just worries. And Rizwan at times is a little bit the same. Don't worry about getting out. You are too good a player to ever be dropped. You know, you are so good. Don't worry about getting out. Just play and entertain.
Play with a lot of freedom is basically what Simon Dewell is saying. But we're talking about the HBL PSL. We're reaching the business end of the tournament. Let's have a look at where the teams are standing on that table. Remember, this is what matters in the end. The top 4 Multan Sultans are now on 10 points, courtesy win tonight. Peshawar Zalmi on 8. Quetta Gladiators will be seen in action once again. It's going to be an interesting one for that last spot. All right, Quetta Gladiators are up against Multan Sultans once again, and Quetta Gladiators, this is one for them that they have to win. Even if they have the slimmest of chances of getting through, the most important thing for them is going to be winning this one and by a convincing margin in match 28 of the HBL PSL. Big one for Quetta Gladiators, Dooley. I'm not really sure in terms of how big a chance they have, but they have to win.
Yeah, look, and I think they have to bat second, and they have to probably knock off whatever it is in such a short space. We're going to be entertained tomorrow, I can tell you. If the Sultans win the toss and bat first, if Quetta win the toss, they will definitely, I think, field first, because they want to chase no matter what they have to chase in as short a time as possible. And if you've got Martin Gupta, who just looked like he was hitting a little bit of form again the other night and the game before, Jason Roy, sparkling form, we are in for some entertainment tomorrow night. I cannot wait.
I cannot wait either. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your thoughts. I think it's time to head home, isn't it, Nighty?
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
When Nighty said it, we've just got to follow it as well. It's been a fascinating day's cricket between both the sides. Really enjoyed it, and it was nice to see Multan Sultans win when Riley Russo put up a special today. We'll be obviously catching you with all the action tomorrow once again, but we'll leave you with some super moments of the day.
असां मिठे बोल बुलेंदे आ तां यारी तोड़न भैंदे आ शौक दिल को जीतने दा असां यार दी जित मनांदे आ तक मेरे सोहणा तक मेरे सोहणा पिछा हट मेरे सोहणा तक मेरे सोहणा मेरे सोना मुल्तान आ गया असा खेड वखावण आए हाँ मैदान च आओ ते साईं मुल्तानी गेम में आए हैं डाडा शोर मचाओ ते साईं मेरे सोना सुल्तान आ गया।